Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. This episode we have Netflix 316th film from 2020. It's the Filipino drama called Finding Agnes. It's directed by Marla Ancheta. It stars Jelson Bay, Sue Ramirez, and Sandy Andolong. I'm Jesse, I'm your host. Thanks for joining me today as we look at this international film. We have a big run of international films at the moment, so stick with us. We will get to some other films that more people have probably seen very soon, but we do start the show with the Fast Flix, where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one is about a Filipino man who travels to Morocco to learn about his distant mother. Intriguing. Hopefully that intrigues you. As we usually see with international films, not a lot to find out about how it ended up on Netflix, but this one, the filming took place mostly in Marrakesh in Morocco in 2019 before the COVID-19 pandemic, which obviously caused havoc at the time of the film's release, leading it to end up on Netflix. Initially, the script for the film called for a romantic comedy story, but the director, Ancheta, decided that the script, she wanted it revised to a personal journey, a story of a person with some light drama elements. So that's how we got this film. Jelson Bay, one of the actors in this film, for his part, he saw it as a venue to show his acting chops because a very comedic type actor. This one had a working title of Just Morocco. So interesting, they were just going to title about the location, and probably you'd think got some good tax rebates from Morocco, showing off the country throughout. This one, as I said, filmed in Morocco, had 6 nominations across sort of Filipino awards, so the Gawad Urian Awards and the Star Awards, and these varied for production design, cinematography, acting, editing, etc. It hit Netflix on the 30th of November 2020 around the world. The only good translation, I guess, or the funniest one, was in Greek. It's called Looking for Agnes. And I have said this is going to be a spoiler-filled discussion. Agnes is dead, so we're not going to find her. But I guess that goes into that title of Finding Her. I think finding's a much better word because we're trying to find out who she was rather than looking for her physically. What are the critics and audiences saying about this film? On Rotten Tomatoes, it only has 4 reviews, so no certifications. Those 4 reviews, 1 is fresh, 3 are rotten. The audience, it sits at 86%. That's on less than 50 ratings though, so I guess fairly high, even though it is under 50 ratings. IMDb sits at a 5 out of 10. That's only on 176 ratings. Letterboxd sits at a 2.9 out of 5 on 230 ratings, and it's only been logged by 322 people. So I don't think this has been seen by many people at all. What are my early thoughts on this one? It's got good intentions, but it's just too melodramatic and poorly written to sort of actually get behind the emotional journey that the film is going for. So let's talk about some characters. So Brix is our main character. He's the main guy. He's a successful businessman who's consumed with his phone, his work. He doesn't think about anyone but himself and being the best worker he possibly can. He's got no friends, no family, no relationship with anyone at all. And he's sort of dealing with this idea that his mum up and left him for 25 years and then all of a sudden rocks up out of the blue, and he's got to try and discover or work out why this occurred and why she left him when he was so young. Kathy is the other character we come across. She's Brix's sort of adopted sister who works at this B&B in Morocco that their mother set up. So we find out that, she was adopted by his mother. She's got a broken heart. Doesn't really know anything about her biological family. That's sort of where she's at. She sort of goes on this journey with Brix to discover, it's sort of like this quest to find out more information about Agnes, who is Brix's biological mother. We learn throughout the film that she always loved her son. She sent him letters, but needed to leave to escape Brix's abusive father. My one question, I guess, is why not take your son with you? Then this whole film wouldn't have happened. But she rocks up, she dies, and she leaves this quest through this will, I guess, for Brix to complete. We sort of learn along the way she's a great artist, a good person, helped other people throughout her journey, so seems like a really nice character. The only other person, Violet, Brix's assistant, just bends over backwards and does whatever he asks her to do, really. That's literally who she is and what she does. The director, Marla Ancheta. 6 directing credits. This is her feature debut. 3 more filmed after this already, so been busy since this film came out in 2020. All right, let's talk about some scenes. What are some scenes that I liked and what are some ones that were not too good? So things I liked. Brix. Some of these are probably going to be mean scenes. Brix is getting into this 4-wheel drive at one stage, and I almost didn't think he was going to get in because he was so short. And that is something that stands out in this film so much, is his height. He is so short. And I couldn't stop thinking about how many takes it must have taken to get him to climb into this four-wheel drive. I know that's horrible. I like that scene. The cinematography and locations in Morocco, they looked beautiful, especially the roads, the markets, the barren land at stages. I thought that was really cool, really well shot. There's this tree planting ceremony. I didn't mind it because it gives Brix a moment to reflect on his mother and her roots. I know that's literally the idea of planting the trees. That was nice. And there's this cover of the song Bright Shining Day at the end. I thought that was really nice soft melodic cover compared to a lot of the score throughout the film, which I will touch on. But I did like the song, even if the credits, and I'm not sure if this is a language thing, but in the credits they credited the song as a song by Nash Johnny. Like the song's by a guy called Johnny Nash, so I thought that was interesting. Things I didn't like: the opening scene of abandonment of Agnes leaving Brix. She's like, "I'll come back once you solve this Rubik's Cube," and he's like, "Okay." And the color palette was so bad, and she gets in his car and she leaves, and she's crying so poorly, and it rains to highlight it. Like, it was just really poorly done. Agnes, when she rocks up to see Brix after 25 years of silence and meets this woman at the reception of where he works. And it looked like she was sitting at this fold-up camping table in the middle of a corridor in a building. Just looked really poor. And then she goes in to this boardroom where she cries and asks for forgiveness. And it was really bad, but it highlighted two things that annoyed me throughout this film, I guess, is the poor score. Like, the score throughout was really bad, and it really ruined a lot of scenes in this film. And also the director's overuse of creating distance between characters. So it's done so starkly that it just felt off throughout. So in this scene, she puts Brix at the opposite end of this boardroom table from his mum. Then when he goes to Morocco and he meets Kathy, they do it twice. Like, there's a pool, and he sits him at a pool on the opposite side to her. And then finally there's this staircase scene at the end where there's this water feature running down the staircase in between him and Kathy. I didn't like it. Agnes, she gets this call from Violet, Brix's assistant, saying, Brix wants to see you again. And she's so happy, and she speaks to him on the phone in bed later on, and then the camera just pulls away from her so amateurishly. And then we cut to Brix on a plane, literally the next cut, and he's told that she died. And he's like, "Are you sure it's my mum?" And that's it. And I was like, oh man, we're dealing with the death of your mother. I know she's been absent for so long, but you've just reconnected. I don't know, it just didn't feel right. The rain throughout, just to highlight sadness. That was bad. There's a scene where Brix has got this zipper jacket on one stage. Really, really weird choice. And he speaks to Kathy by the pool, and he's asking her if, she is his mum's daughter. And her response is, "Not biological, if that's what you mean." Like, laughable. I laughed. It's like, cool, we're telling the audience that she's on the table now. Romantically, he can go for it. I know that didn't happen, which is good, but I was just like, oh, that wasn't needed at all. I think Kathy at stages, I know it was what she was given, but as a character, there's these shots of her looking sad all the time or holding a scarf really, weirdly. Just some weird shots. There's a scene where, a lot of scenes where Brix is disappointed with pretty much all the cars in Morocco. And it's like, they're all these tiny little cars. He's used to these big four-wheel drives or limos and people driving around, and they're like these little tiny matchbox cars. I'm literally thinking, these are perfect for you. Just get in because you don't have to climb up. You don't have to worry. You can just get in this car. So that annoyed me. Brix and Kathy on their first stop on their adventure to sort of deliver this ceramic statue to this auntie, or this Auntie Regina sort of character. And they give it to her, and she's an emotional mess. And you understand why. And then they make her say out loud that when the time comes for her, it's returned to her, it means that Agnes is gone. Yes, we worked that out. Thank you. We didn't need her to say that as well. Kathy mentions that she avoids galleries because the last time she was in one, she was heartbroken. What a crap line of dialogue. The whole scene where Brix debriefs with Kathy about being sad, about not fixing his relationship with his dad. The audience knows already that his dad probably wasn't a really good guy, so this was pointless. There's a scene where Brix is on the phone talking about wanting to double the profit of selling this bed and breakfast, and this is another one of those shots of Kathy where she's just looking sad. Kathy and Brix are in this car, and she's just asking him to give the bed and breakfast a chance, and he's like, calm down. She was super calm. And then she just pulls the car over and attacks him and beats him and bashes his head against the windshield, and then it just cuts, and it's like a vision from her, like a dream. Not funny and not needed. It didn't go with the flow of the rest of the film. The flashbacks of Agnes when she was younger, Poor colour grading again. The story about the pregnant lady who couldn't go home because she was, became pregnant by a different man than her husband and the father of her children. And then Kathy looking shocked because the audience, we already knew where this was going before she did. And then later we see Kathy in the bathroom looking at the mirror, listening to this story again about the baby, knowing that it's about her. Like, it was just laughable. There's a scene where Brick's waiting outside Kathy's room, sort of hesitating to knock, to ask for her help. It felt like he went to go knock on that door about 100 times. That felt like eternity. Bricks, there's a moment where he's watching Kathy working with her team and he's like admiring her, which is nice. But then we get the reverse shot where then Bricks decides he's going to help out and she watches in amazement in return. Funny. There's a scene where Bricks dances with Kathy. Just didn't work because he's so short. The poor guy is so short. There's a scene where Bricks gets drunk and then he's talking to his mother's urn. It went on forever and ever and was a completely different tone to the rest of the film, so it just didn't fit. There's this celebration from Kathy's co-workers when she's gifted the bed and breakfast, and just the overacting was so bad. And then finally, this has gone on for a while, finally, Bricks arrives back in the Philippines. And he's a changed man, so he asks Violet what she'd like to eat for a change. Like, this truly signifies that he's changed. Okay, sorry, that was a bit of a whack. Themes, ideas, what's this film saying? The idea of changing and discovering yourself and helping others too, and obviously the idea of family being important, about discovering who they really are. Dealing with abandonment, parenting is never perfect, but the love for kids never changes too. I think it's a really good way of dealing with domestic violence too, the idea of survivors and escape and what some people have to do, and that opposite too that we see through Bricks of materialism, overcoming the greed and the need for wealth to actually looking out for other people. All right, questions, ponderings, thoughts about this film. Like Jelson Bay, he plays the lead with Bricks, and I really thought I'd seen him in something before, or maybe it was just that he's clearly a comedic actor. And I, obviously through the research, I found out for this film that he is a comedic actor. I didn't know that at the time, but this just wasn't the role for him. I wrote in my notes so many times, he's just too short, and this scene didn't work because of the visual difference in him as a character. So they need to put him on a box or something, make it not so obvious about the height difference between him and people. Some questions. So, why didn't Bricks show any disregard for his father when he finds out that he hid letters from his mother, or that his father abused his mother too? It's just like he's happy that he's got his dad's work ethic and he wants his dad to be proud of him. I just felt like that didn't land. I don't know if there was enough growth in Bricks throughout the film to show he'd actually changed either. And I sort of touched on that final scene. It's like, well, he's letting his assistant choose where they ate dinner. Is that enough? I don't think so. And did they really need to have Bricks as a rich, wealthy person in this film? Would this film have worked just as well to have a lonely man struggling with no family sort of go on this journey to understand why his mother left him? That almost could work just as well too. This is a good quote from Roger's Movie Nation. He said, "Every single thing about this, every scene, has the pace of pandesal, which is Filipino bread. Batter slowly dripping out of the mixing bowl." Talking about how slow this film is. So I thought that was a good little quote. And I've said this before. I really hate it when Netflix films don't subtitle the spoken English in international films. This film had so much English throughout. Hearing impaired people have no chance of understanding this film. I don't know how to get that information back to Netflix, but that really needs to be fixed. It's really frustrating. All right, I'm ready to wrap this up. We give the film a rating out of 5. For me, I probably enjoyed it more while watching it than I did looking back on it. It could have been this little indie gem, I guess, but unfortunately there's very little that shines, and because all the elements just don't line up. There's no real emotional connection to be felt when, what it really needs you to understand is it's dealing with a son who's trying to discover who his mother really was, and there's just so much in between that takes away from that. So this is a 1.5 out of 5 for me. Pretty low. Sorry about that, but we're on socials. We have Instagram, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. The question, this is just in regards to Bricks, is that symbol of a Rubik's Cube. Can you do a Rubik's Cube? Because his mum, promised that he'd come back before he finished it, and she obviously doesn't. So I can't. I'm useless at Rubik's Cubes. I get too frustrated, but I know some people find it relaxing. Not me. We're back next week. We're back with another international film from 2020. This one is the Brazilian Christmas fantasy comedy called Just Another Christmas, or Tudo Bem no Natal que Fem. It's directed by Roberto Santucci and stars Leandro Hassum, Elisa Pinheiro, and Danielle Winitz. That's what we've got next week, a Christmas film. So I think we've still got a couple of Christmas movies to go in the wrong end of the year. Other than that, as always, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next week.